Financial wellness. Reach out to them for advice at 855-DON-GINO. And now back to your hosts, Don Getling and
in the
Gino
industry
Fonte.
or not, we have a good friend and a mentor of ours, Mr. Michael Maher, who is the author of 7 Levels of Communication, but so much more. He represents and lives the generosity generation, easy for me to say. Michael, thank you for joining our show today, buddy.
Oh, always a pleasure. It's an honor to be on. And Don, Gino, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to this. And my apologies for making it a 2-year in the making process. But, hey, hopefully it's worth the wait, right?
The good news is you wrote another book, So we got a little further along in the process now.
And you're look much thinner than you were last time we started 2 years ago. What are you down, over 40 pounds now?
42 pounds, yeah.
Nice.
42. I feel like I've kind of got I'm on top of it now.
Isn't it unbelievable how much of a process it is? I had lost, it's a constantly fluctuating thing. I lost 110. Well, it quickly became 90, and then it became 85, and now I'm trying really hard to get it back to 100.
Yeah.
Well, we brought Michael on for a lot of reasons. Michael has a best-selling book called The 7 Levels of Communication, and it's not just about the work ethic in regarding real estate or the lending industry. There's so much more, and that's why your book is blown up, why you are extremely busy, one of the most sought-after speakers I know in our industry. You're gone almost every week, are you not?
Every week, yeah, pretty much from March until the end of October, it's every week.
And Michael, can you give our listeners a little background? I mean, I know you were an extremely successful real estate agent, and so how did you transition from being a very successful real estate agent into being an author and a speaker and, Oh,
and let me
motivator.
put it in perspective. In his 3rd year, he earned over $1 million. Nobody does that in the real estate industry, by the way. So we want to give a little credibility. Like, why should we listen to this guy? We've seen Michael speak many times, and it's not just here's the how-to. It's, Michael, it's your passion. It's how much you live, what you talk about, and how much you give back. And that's why we love having you on the show today, buddy.
Well, thank you very much. And, Gino, just to kind of answer the question is, I started out a high school math teacher, believe it or not.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Didn't know that part of the story, yeah.
That is a nugget for you guys, because 99.9% of the time, I do not lead with that. That's for a reason, right? So, but I did find out that if you can sell mathematics to high school students, you can sell anything to anyone in the world. So I went into real estate, and like a lot of people, very impatient for success. So I tried what I was taught, which was the cold calling, the door knocking, the emailing. I almost said spamming. I tried that method, and I didn't want to go to jail for a do not call list call. I did not want to be a solicitor or called a solicitor. Every door I saw said no solicitation. And then I did not want to be a spammer, right? I didn't want to, literally I sent out 100 emails many, many years ago, and I got 50 replies, which, nowadays that'd be outstanding. But all 50 were calling me a spammer and said, please don't ever email me again. So I did that. I followed their advice. I figured out there must be a better way. And I noticed that the 5 transactions I already had under contract were all 5 people I knew. They were either friends, referrals from family members, or somebody that I had met through a networking contact. So I thought, well, if that's where they're coming from, and not only that, they're the most profitable, then, okay, I have no money. I've got some time. Let's focus on relationships. So I decided netted nearly $1 million, $986,000, and was discovered by a guy named Howard Brinton and a few others in the industry who put me on stage and interviewed me, and it just blew up from there. Everybody was wondering, how the heck are you getting 500 referrals a year? And so I started telling them, but Gino, I have to tell you, I was telling them an answer, but I wasn't telling them the answer. I wasn't giving them the whole picture. I was just sending them a system or a strategy or a tactic. So I knew I needed to write the book that was the system, the whole thing, the answer. And like a lot of people who say they're going to write a book, I didn't write a book for several years. And then on December 18th, 2007, I actually flatlined. I actually had 7 blood clots. I had one that passed through my heart, killed me for 37 seconds. I was resuscitated in the hospital, and literally when I came to, I thought of a lot of things. I thought of my wife. I thought the fact that I don't have a kid. I really want a kid. And I thought about my dad, who had passed away too young, 54 years old. And he had one regret when he passed away. Very influential man, over 1,000 people at his funeral. And he had one regret, and that was he had not written his memoirs. The wisdom in his head died with him, except for what I retained and my brothers and sisters retained. So literally that night in ICU with a temporary pacemaker in intensive care, on a napkin in the hospital, I outlined what is today the 7 levels of communication.
Wow, that's an inspiring story. I guess, flatlining and dying is a pretty motivating reason to take that next step, and hopefully a lot of us don't have to go to that level, no pun intended, in order to, inspire us to share what we know. And you had so much knowledge, and it's great that you've taken the effort and the time to share, and now that's what you do. I mean, you spend your entire time, not just in regard to your book, but you go around sharing your inspiration and your knowledge to so many people all around the nation on a regular basis. We've seen you speak, and you're a dynamic speaker, by the way. Very engaging, very humble, and very rewarding to watch you speak. And you should be very proud, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think my dad's watching me even to this day. I dedicated the book to him. And I think he's very proud of what we've done and where we're going. We have a long way to go, but like any time, we need to also look back and say, look how far we've come.
So out of curiosity, what would you say after you started, because obviously that's the hardest thing, like anything in life, is to start. How long did it actually take to write the full book?
Took over 2 years.
Yeah.
It took me over 2 years to write the book. I was also selling real estate more than full time, right? So, and what was interesting is that through writing the book in 2008, 2009, the book came out in October of 2010, I had my best year ever in real estate in 2009, which just sounds like a year to a lot of people, unless you were in real estate.
Yeah, it was a very interesting time, just on the verge of just coming out of collapse, I would say, and just a little bit of stuff going on, maybe the talk of the first-time homebuyer credit, and, the government just starting to pour the kitchen sink at the real estate world.
Well, Michael, we're gonna have to go to break here in a little bit, and if you just tune in, you're here with the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance, your hometown station, AM 1220 KHDS, and we're here with author, inspirational speaker, motivator, Mr. Michael J. Maher, author of 7 Levels of Communication, sharing with us some of the knowledge base and some ideas that can change your life, not just if you're in real estate, not just if you're more in the real estate world as a lender, but in your life in general. Michael has changed his life. He's changed the life of many. And we're going to talk more, Michael. How about we dive in a little bit more when we come back about the generosity generation? I know that motivates you a lot. Sound good?
Awesome. I'm in.
All right. So stay tuned. We'll be right back in just a few short minutes to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show. Don't go away.